Autumn, we are at quorum. Feel free to kick us off when you're ready.
Okay. All right, well, welcome everyone. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order for February 9th of the TCC. Just real quick, let's go through the roll call of who we have in attendance.
Asheville Lucy Crown.
Here.
Art Jessica Morris. I'm just gonna go through everybody. Biltmore Forest Harry Buckner. Could you let Jessica in? Buncombe County Matt Baker.
William High is here in place of Matt Baker. He should have been, he's no longer going to represent us. It'll be me and Dylan Casper.
Buncombe Transit William High. PPD Daniel Sellers.
I'm here.
Fletcher Eric Rufa.
Yeah, here, thanks.
Haywood County Jody Ferguson. Henderson County Autumn Radcliffe.
Here.
Apple Country Transit Jana Bianculli.
Here.
Hendersonville Matt Manley. Maggie Valley Caitlin Finkel.
Here.
Mars Hill Nathan Bennett.
Here.
RPO Vicki Eastland.
Here.
DSC Division 13 Hannah Cook. DOT Division 14 Steve Williams.
Here.
Okay. You let Harry go. Oh, my God.
This is Hannah Cook. I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can.
This happened last week.
Everybody? Okay, and did y'all see Jody's chat there that she's on the phone line, but she's having trouble. She's not able to talk on the phone. I don't know if y'all saw that.
Right, we provided her permission to speak, but we can't promote phones to panelists.
Okay.
Apologies, Jody.
All right, so is there any public comment that we have? Anyone on here or that's there in person? All right, so the first thing we need to do is approval of the agenda and the consent agenda, unless there's any questions about anything that's on the consent. If somebody wants to make that motion.
Vicky, I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Williams, second.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, I really hate to do like these double roll calls at the front first, but between the hybrid stuff and everything else that we have to do. So if y'all will take us through the roll call vote on that.
Oh, and sorry, one quick comment. In the consent agenda for the modifications to the FY23 UPWP, we noted the Patton Avenue project would change from Jeff Bowen Bridge over to Biltmore Avenue, but we just received word it'll be extended further to Spruce Street, so that's another 2 blocks beyond Biltmore Avenue. Just FYI, and we'll update that for the MPO board.
Okay. I'm assuming that doesn't change y'all's motion to approve.
No, it does not.
Okay. All right, well, if you'll take us through the roll call vote.
Asheville Lucy Crown.
Aye.
Biltmore Forest Harry Buckner.
Aye.
Black Mountain Jessica Trotman.
Aye.
Buncombe Transit William High.
Approve.
TCD Daniel Sellers,
Aye.
Fletcher Eric Rufa,
Aye.
Haywood County Jody Ferguson, Henderson County Autumn Radcliffe,
Approve.
Apple Country Transit Jana Van Cooley,
Aye.
Hendersonville Matt Manley, Maggie Valley Caitlin Finkel,
Aye.
Mars Hill Nathan Bennett,
Aye.
RPO Vicky Eastland,
Aye.
UT Division 13 Hannah Cook,
Aye.
and DOT Division 14 Steve Williams. Yeah, I have it.
All right, thank you. All right, so we'll move into our first business item, which is the safety performance targets.
Okay, so I talked about safety performance targets last month, an informational item, but this month it is a business item. So as a refresher, in 2016, the Federal Highway Administration established safety performance measures in accord with regulations set forth by federal MAP 21 and FAST Act transportation funding bills. So those performance measures are number of fatalities, rate of fatalities, number of serious injuries, rate of serious injuries, and number of combined non-motorized fatalities and non-motorized serious injuries. So in this table, you can see our safety performance target achievements for the 2016-2020 5-year averages. So in that left column, you can see the targets that were set by NCDOT, which were the targets that were adopted. And then the middle column, you can see our actual metrics. And then in the right column, you can see the baseline of actual metrics from 2014 to 2018. So our actual metrics from 2016 to 2020, some of them were better than our baseline, but none of the targets were met. So on the next page, there's a table of our 5-year average metrics over the last several years. So you can kind of see trends of how they've changed and how we've performed. And then in the red at the very bottom is the 2023 target metrics set by NCDOT. So our options here and our recommendation would be to adopt these targets defined by the state's methodology. The other option would be to use a different methodology to define our own target. The reason we aren't recommending that is because that would require us to hire someone to monitor the performance metrics, and that would essentially mean the MPO taking on responsibility, but not really changing our ability to influence the actions that would really change the metrics. Yeah, so the action is to consider a recommendation of safety performance targets to the MPO board.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? I know we discussed this last time, or any issues? You are looking for a motion for us to recommend these to the MPO board, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Steve Williams, so moved.
Is there a second?
Lucy
William
Crown,
Hyatt, I'll
second.
Okay, that was both of y'all at the same time. I heard Lucy say her name. So we'll go with Lucy as a second, if that's okay. And then if you'll take us through roll call.
Asheville Lucy Crown,
Aye.
Biltmore Forest Terry Buckner,
Aye.
Black Mountain Jessica Trotman, Buncombe County William High,
Approved.
Buncombe Transit Dylan Casper,
Approved.
CPD Daniel Sellers,
Aye.
Fletcher Eric Rufa,
Aye.
Haywood County Jody Ferguson, Henderson County Autumn Radcliffe,
Aye.
Apple Country Transit Jana Van Cooley,
Aye.
Hendersonville, Matt Manley.
Yes.
Maggie Valley, Caitlin Finkel.
Aye.
Marshall, Nathan Bennett.
Aye.
Mills River, Daniel Cobb.
Aye.
RPO, Vicky Eastland.
Aye.
DOT Division 13, Hannah Cook.
Aye.
And DOT Division 14, Steve Williams.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Our next business item is the draft 2024 UPWP.
Okay, so the UPWP, the Unified Planning Work Program, that is essentially the MPO's budget, but it covers a whole lot of things. It covers the funding for the MPO's operations. That's something we have to break out into tasks that are reflected back to the MPO's perspective. So it kind of gives an overview of what MPO staff plans on working on over FY 2024 and how much of an emphasis we're putting on a lot of those tasks. It also covers special studies funded through the MPO. So just as a reminder, we did hold a call for planning projects last fall and winter. We are planning on funding 2 additional special studies for FY 24. That is the Cane Creek Greenway study through the town of Fletcher and the Woodfin-Weaverville Greenway. That's to look at a connection between the Woodfin Greenways, which are fully funded for construction, and connecting that up to Weaverville, trying to find an alignment and looking at potential cost estimates for providing that connection. It also covers the Section 5303 tasks that will be done by the City of Asheville. Just as a reminder, those are funds that go to the region's direct recipient for transit funds, and that is for metropolitan planning. So in the narrative, as well as the funding sheet, you'll see the tasks that are outlined, as well as the funding allocated to each task by the City of Asheville for that. The draft UPWP, we've attached it below, and I won't go through this line by line, but a few things that we have is putting a lot more of an emphasis towards the MTP. That'll be due in the fall of 2025, which sounds a long, long way off, but there's a whole lot of work to do to get there. So we've put more of an emphasis on prepping for the MTP. Also, special studies management is something that we've put more of an emphasis on. The good news there is that the MPO was awarded, or the MPO and the RPO were awarded a Safe Streets for All planning grant. That's something that the TCC and the board approved us going after. Is that August? September. It's all a blur. But we were awarded that, so administering and overseeing that project is something we've put additional funds towards, as well as all of the special studies that have been programmed in our UPWP. So we have put quite a bit more funding towards special studies oversight than we have in the past. The other thing that we have programmed is looking at doing a staffing and compensation study for the MPO. That's something that we've discussed with some of the leadership team about doing, looking at our overall compensation levels as well as the staffing for an MPO. So that is something we have programmed in the UPWP as well. But at this stage, this is the draft UPWP. We do have a special studies summary of all the studies that are being funded. We will be bringing back a final edition of this in March. But for now, the draft UPWP that is due in February, it's my understanding a whole lot of that deadline is driven through FTA. So FTA has been requesting that the 5303 programming be done in February, and then the final, especially for a lot of the other funds, will be done in March. Another thing to point out is we do have local dues. Where are those local dues? There we go. Local dues were recalculated as after the decennial census information was released. So we did see a shift for all of our dues-paying members. For this fiscal year, overall, we are not increasing the amount of local dues from all of our jurisdictions, but there are some shifts, particularly Buncombe County, City of Asheville, and the City of Hendersonville saw their share of local dues go up, and Henderson County, Haywood County, the town of Waynesville, and Madison County saw their dues percentage being reduced. The other thing to point out there is that we actually received quite an increase in federal planning funds for the region. We have covered the increase in local dues because of that increase through some of the carryover local dues from previous years that went unspent. So that is just about everything we have for you guys today on our draft UPWP. Are there any questions or comments at this point?
Tristan, do you need a motion from us? I know you said that you're going to be bringing back a final, but do you need a motion for us to recommend this to the board?
Yes, we actually do need to submit the draft UPWP to NCDOT and Federal Highways.
All right, unless there's any questions, does someone want to make a motion?
This is
Janet,
Vicky.
young Go ahead, Keith.
This is Vicky. I'll make the motion to approve the draft UPWP.
Okay, is there a second? Second. Thank you. All right, take us through a roll call again.
Asheville, Lucy Crown.
Aye.
Biltmore Forest, Harry Buckner.
Aye.
Black Mountain, Jessica Trotman.
Aye.
Buncombe County, William High.
Approve.
Buncombe Transit, Dylan Casper.
Approve.
PPD, Daniel Sellers.
Aye.
Fletcher, Eric Rusba.
Aye.
Haywood County, Jody Ferguson. Henderson County, Autumn Radcliffe.
Aye.
Apple Country Transit, Jana Bianculli.
Aye.
Hendersonville, Matt Manley.
Yes.
Maggie Valley, Caitlin Finkel.
Aye.
Mars Hill, Nathan Bennett.
Aye.
Mills River, Daniel Cobb.
Aye.
RPO, Vicki Eastland.
Aye.
DOT Division 13, Hannah Cook.
Aye.
DOT Division 14, Steve Williams.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
All right, so we'll move into our informational items. We've got the draft tip and some project swaps.
Right, so this is just informational this month, but next month we do have a due date for processing any project swaps for the draft 2024 through 2033 SIP. So just as a reminder, this is the draft 2024 through 2033 SIP is a different process than usual. Instead of adding more projects through the prioritization process, we are removing a lot of projects. So, excuse me. But one of the key things here is that even though we are removing a number of projects from around the region, the MPO does have the ability to swap projects in case there are projects that are currently off the list that we would prefer to have funded instead, or vice versa. So we have been having local meetings with Haywood, Henderson, and Buncombe to discuss potential swaps. So in your packet, you've got kind of the update on where all the projects stand, what projects are in the STIP, what projects are out. But I will share a couple of slides with you all. Okay. So as of right now, we've only received a request for one swap, and that is in Henderson County. So the project requested to be swapped in is I-4400 BA, that's the interchange at I-26, and US 64, that's estimated at $29,500,000. The project being removed to put the interchange project back in is R5748. That is the Canoga Road modernization, estimated at $52.2 million. Another project, just FYI, that was discussed is the 280 Access Management Project. That has not been requested to be swapped in. Swapping in both would exceed the threshold for a swap by $180,000. So that unfortunately does not make the cut. But just as a little bit of background, again, here is the project being proposed to be swapped in, I-4400 BA. We are, according to the MPO's travel demand model, we are expected to see pretty substantial increases in volumes on that interchange. And also as part of that project, bike lanes and sidewalks have been requested to be included. With R5748, just to note for those who are not as familiar, that is a project that has gotten quite a bit of public pushback through the design and development process. So that is a project where, to sum it up, I think there's been a lot of discourse about the concerns with that project, and kind of a number of elements have been cut back as a result of that. So that is one project where having additional time for planning before resubmitting may be beneficial. And just FYI, with the NC 280 project, it would be an access management project, but it's something that would overlap with the Mills River Valley Trail. So that's something we will definitely have to keep on the books for the future. The other thing to note here is Sweeten Creek Road. That is a project in Buncombe County from Hendersonville Road, or the Hendersonville Road, Airport Road, intersection north to Rock Hill Road. Costs have increased yet again. This is something we discussed with prioritization. From what we've been told by NCDOT's STIP unit, if something doesn't happen to reduce the cost of the project, it will be removed from the draft STIP. And removed again. As a reminder, when the first draft STIP came out, It was removed when it was revised with additional funding. It came back on. Now we're looking at potentially losing this project again. So we've had a few meetings with the city of Asheville and Buncombe County. So NCDOT is evaluating going down from the 4-lane divided cross-section to a 3-lane to see if it would reduce costs enough in order to remain on the STIP. FYI, I think we are planning on getting the information back on that February 28th.
This month.
And the swamps are due March 17th, so more to come on that front. All in all, again, as a reminder, there were additional funds added between the initial release and the draft STIP. And so we did get a number of projects back in over the summer. So again, as of right now, this is informational, but we will be bringing back at least the Henderson County proposed swap back through the TCC and board for official approval in March. Those swaps are due March, is that 17th? I think one day after our board meeting. Again, we wanted to make sure you all got a look at what's being proposed, and if there's any additional information that you all need or you feel like your board members would need to consider these swaps, please let us know.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Tristan about this? Okay, hearing none, we'll go into our regular updates, NCDOT Division 13.
Yes, this is Hannah. I'm gonna do the updates. I'll wait though for someone to pull up the handout.
1 second, Anna.
All right, cool. We'll start with construction. So I always like to give an update on I-26, of course. So the portion in Division 13, Buncombe County from Airport Road to I-40. Work continues constructing the westbound lanes from Long Shoals Road to Brevard Road. And drivers that are heading west on I-26 over the French Broad River are now driving on the new bridge as of yesterday morning. They did the traffic switch. Crews will soon begin removing sections of the old bridge and begin constructing the final section. So ultimately, the result will be one 8-lane bridge over the river. Overall project is still scheduled to be completed in the spring of next year, so they're moving right along. Want to touch on I-40, the pavement rehab that's been going on for quite some time for mile marker 50 to 55. Project isn't going to resume until nighttime temperatures allow for consistent work. So once work resumes, the contractor has some paving items to complete, and then they'll do the final pavement markings and pavement reflectors, but they are expecting to complete the work in the spring of this year for I-40 in that location. Also wanted to touch again on Overlook Road, the intersection with Hendersonville Road. Work has slowed down really due to the cold weather and the wet, but the contractor continues to work when possible. They're actively pursuing the construction of the curb and gutter whenever the weather allows, but it's probably going to be March or April before you see a lot of progress at the intersection. But the overall project is expected to be completed this summer. We're shooting for June, so. That's it for construction, unless somebody had a question. Project development, this is a lot of the dates you guys have been seeing since the August 4th draft came out. Again, this is just a side-by-side comparison of our current STIP compared to our upcoming STIP that will be adopted in May. I don't think there have been any significant schedule changes to report. And just a reminder, if the project says not funded or funded for preliminary engineering only, then those are the projects that will recompete in P7. Any questions on those?
Lucy, you politely have your hand raised.
Yeah, Hannah, I'm wanting to know if you have any updates on the Amboy Road retrofit project.
For the sidewalk on the bridge or the larger STIP project?
For the sidewalk on the old bridge.
I do not, but I can find out and shoot you an email.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, does anyone have any other questions? Hannah, is that all you had?
Yep, that's it for me.
Okay, well, we'll move into Division 14 updates.
All right, as a reminder, that just flashed up, these spreadsheets are on the French Broad River MPO website and the agenda minutes page. So in Haywood County, just be aware that resurfacing will start again on I-40 this spring once the weather warms up a bit. That third line down where you see the multiple bridges, the description isn't exactly right because that's 5 bridges that are being replaced on I-40. One is almost finished, the one at Harmondale Road, with the exception of some wildlife crossing friendly fencing that'll be going in. It'll be completed by the end of the month. And then there's 2 other bridges that are just north of the 276 interchange there, Jonathan Creek, that are currently ongoing. If you've driven that, you know what a headache it is and how far back the traffic backs up. And there are 2 more bridges to be let this year. Revised completion date, you can see, is in the middle of 2025. Otherwise, it's the same projects you've been seeing. The Walnut Main Street project there in Waynesville is progressing well, and then a bunch of bridges. I-26 project, same thing that's been going on for a while. Just be aware of traffic shifts as they work on one side and then shifting traffic onto the newly constructed lanes. Henderson County, again, same projects that you've been seeing for a while. The Green River Bridge project, all lanes are still open, but the shoulders are closed, so it's really restricted when you go through there. So beware. The Highland Lake Road project, it has started, but just barely, and that contractor is having a difficult time with personnel. Is the reason for the delays there. The project development spreadsheet, I won't repeat what Hannah said because she covered that well, and that applies for the Division 14 projects, unless somebody has a question for me. Hearing none, that's all I have on.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to Transportation Planning Branch updates. Daniel.
Okay. I only have one update, and I see Tristan already has a tab open for it, but the feds just released the schedule for how to deal with all the new things that come with the new MPO boundaries being designated. Because originally the deadline to make urban area planning area boundary changes was last fall, which, since they didn't give us the census data in time, was kind of ludicrous. I read through the list. Tristan may have other comments, but the only thing I see that really affects us is that the new metropolitan planning area has to be in effect by the next transportation plan. So we have until 2025 to get that sorted out. Now, obviously, we'll need to know what it is before we actually do the plan, but it won't need to be official. And the other thing I see is that October 1st, 2023, the state has to finish updating its distribution formula, because we get a lump sum from the feds, and then we divide it among the MPOs based on a formula. And so that has to be submitted to the feds. I'm not sure if that's going to take effect in the 23-24 fiscal year, because the state fiscal year and the Fed fiscal year is different, but I would assume it'd be in effect for 24-25.
Yeah, Daniel, we've had some conversations on that because the FY 24 funds have already been allocated to the various MPOs. It's going to take they're planning on having it take effect for FY 25.
Yes.
And also with the new MPOs coming online, I think they think it's going to be at least, or their FY 25 at the earliest, for those MPOs to really come online.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of what's in the schedule is for new MPOs. But that's it for my office. Any questions?
Okay, thanks, Daniel. All right, so FHWA and FTA updates. Bill, are you on here?
I do not believe we have anyone from FHWA or
Is there anything on that, Tristan, that you have that you want to share with the group? If not, we'll go on.
No, nothing new beyond what I think we've been sending email after email after to you guys. So my apologies for all the emails, but we're getting a ton too. It's a lot of information that's coming out.
Okay, well, we'll go on into the subcommittee and work groups, staff updates, etc.
Yeah, I won't go through these one by one, but FYI, a lot of our subcommittees and work groups are continuing to meet. So one thing to note is prioritization subcommittee at next week's board meeting. They'll be appointing a new subcommittee member to replace Larry Harris. Just as a reminder, the subcommittee bylaws have 4 representatives from the TCC and 3 from the MPO board. We will plan on making that appointment at their meeting next week. The 5307 subrecipient work group, one thing to note is that something that group will be working on with Scott is definitely the how the new urbanized boundaries impact transit funding for our region. We're trying to set up some meetings with NCDOT and ITRI to discuss Haywood County and their funding, but for the rest of the 5307 subrecipients, the urbanized or the updated urbanized boundaries impact will essentially take effect in FY24. That group will definitely be looking at updating the formula to make sure the changes from those boundaries are reflected in the formula. So that should keep that group busy. Also of note is that NCDOT is planning to start a regional transit plan sometime in the next few months. So we will keep everyone updated on that front. Also, again, just as a reminder, the Hellbender Trail Stakeholder Group, they are planning an event for later this year. If you are interested in attending and helping to plan the event, please get in touch with Anna on our team, who is helping to lead those efforts. And so that should be a great event for later this year. But that's all we have for subcommittees. FYI, one non-subcommittee thing, if you are interested in attending the NCA MPO conference, that'll be in Greenville this year in April. We'll send out more information on that when it becomes available. But FYI, that is a great event. It is, I think, the biggest transportation conference in North Carolina, or one of the biggest. If you're interested, let us know. We'll send you the information. In terms of legislative updates, we actually do have a few. A few bills were introduced in the North Carolina General Assembly. They are still working their way through committee, but FYI, one of them, House Bill 29, short title, Support Private Property Rights, and it clarifies that disclosing things in non-fiscally constrained transportation plans is not a requirement for real estate transactions. For Senate Bill 77, that is something that authorizes cities to employ and allow civilian personnel to investigate traffic crashes involving only property damage. Don't know much more about that, but interesting. And also House Bill 59, that is a project for, or a bill that would fund a number of projects in Rowan County. One of the projects includes a multi-use path project. So FYI, we've seen this happening a bit more with the General Assembly providing funds for some projects around the state. So be sure that your board representatives and elected officials are talking with your state delegation, because they're due, at least for now, there seem to be opportunities where there haven't been in the past. And as Daniel mentioned, about 45 minutes ago or an hour ago, we got updated information on MPO boundaries. So again, we have some time to work through that. We have been looking at some of the information about the link between Haywood and the Asheville urbanized area, because it is essentially a few housing units off from making that link. But for now, we have not seen any information to suggest that there are more housing units than the census counted, I'm sad to say. But that is all that we've got for legislative things. Sorry, a few more things. Orientation, we are scheduling that for Friday, March 3rd. So we'll send out more information on that. If you're new to the MPO, we do recommend attending orientation. We plan to have that in person with a remote option. In the past, we had some staff baking contests as part of the orientation. Always a mixed bag, but we'll do what we can. All right, I'm getting some kind of nods from staff. But please attend. We try to make it as helpful and interactive as possible. As we noted, the MPO and RPO were awarded a Safe Streets for All Action Planning Grant. We are hoping to get that started as soon as possible. However, I will say my read on the award letter is please, please, please be patient. We issued over 400 awards, and congratulations. We're hoping, again, to get that started, but yes, lots of awards for Safe Streets for All. The Haywood County Greenway Master Plan, that was a project funded through the MPO. That got commissioner approval earlier this week. Good news. The paved trail studies through NCDOT, we did get good news for 2 of the 6 that were that sent in applications for that. The city of Asheville was awarded funding to look at a connection along the Swananoa River to connect kind of a planned multi-use path along Meadow Road over to the Swananoa Greenway. Also, the city of Hendersonville was awarded funds to look at the above the mud connection that would connect the Oklawaha Greenway and 7th Avenue area over to the Augusta Trail. And finally, thank you everybody who sent in these Safe Routes to School support letters. We received more letters than the DOT application would allow us to attach, which is always a good sign. So thank you to everyone. I think we'll hear back on that in March or April. But just wanted to give a big thanks to all the local governments and others that provided those letters. Now that's all I've got on.
All right, is there any announcements or updates or topics for our March meeting? Anyone's interested in? All right, oh, go ahead.
This is William. I failed to show up to Land of Sky this morning in time for the RPO. So I wanted to introduce Dylan Casper, who's our new transportation planner here at the county. He'll be working with me and Matt Cable for things related here. So Dylan joins us from Pennsylvania. So I'm sorry to bring him in person to welcome him more properly to this group, but there's his shining face. And thank you, Dylan, for coming.
Yeah, it's nice to, I guess, meet you all virtually. Hope to make it in person here the next meeting or in the next few meetings, and look forward to working with you all.
Welcome, Dylan. All right, are there any other public comments? Anything online? No, there was a couple of chats, anything? Okay. So with that, we are adjourned. Hope everyone has a good day.